Welcome back to the AI Revolution podcast and learning series. This is the AI in Healthcare edition, and today I'm your host for the episode, Carrie Purcell. I'm excited today to get to speak with Natalia Haluszka from Adore Eyes to learn all about her role, the company, and a little bit of what makes Canadian products special as well. Natalia, welcome to the show, and thank you for your time today.
Hello, Carrie. Thank you so much for the invitation. It is a pleasure and honor to be part of that podcast. I do believe that all the topics that are being discussed during your podcast series, AI in healthcare, are very crucial, especially with what is happening in today's world and how fast we evolve. So I'm very honored to be here today. Thank you.
Absolutely. And we are going to have a wide-ranging conversation, but I want to start with just asking you to give an introduction to yourself and your role.
So once again, my name is Natalia Haluszka. I'm actually responsible for product development at Adore Eyes, and I am a co-founder as well. We're a Canadian brand with made in Canada cosmetics and ingredients, and as recently it happened, also with the AI technology for the skin analysis. My core role at the company is to develop the products. It can be cosmetic, it can be ingredient, or it can be a tech, as I'm bridging both of the worlds of the beauty and actually technology. So that's a little bit about myself. The company itself has 3 branches. We manufacture here in Canada professional spa exclusive cosmetics that can be utilized at the back bar during the treatment, or you can take it as a home care. We also do ingredients that are actually sourced here from the Niagara region. So we're headquartered in Niagara Falls. So from the beautiful wineries, we upcycle ingredients, committing to our sustainability. We are taking grape pomace and develop from that Niagara grape extract as well exosomes. And with our recent development, we're bridging all of that with our AI skin analysis software. So that's a little bit about the company.
What a great introduction. Several pieces that we're going to talk about more. So you talked about being responsible for product, whether that's cosmetic, whether that's the ingredients or the tech. We're going to spend a lot of time on the tech, but I want to spend a little bit of time at the beginning talking about the cosmetics and the ingredients. I love the Canadian flavor of being based in Niagara Falls and using the grapes of that Niagara wine region in your products. It's so amazing, so cool. And then that really important sustainability piece. So where to start? How, you know what? Let's back up. How did the company come about?
So the company itself was established in 2018, and at a given time, I was actually still working at a tech, but from the personal experience, we also were looking for some of the cosmetics that happened to be personally connected to me as a person that was going through postpartum. And if we know how the hormone change, we do know that a lot of time we experience the hair loss, and we are looking for all kind of remedies. At the same time, during that time, we realized that some of the products contain ingredient called prostaglandin analogs, which is a hormone-alike ingredient that unfortunately comes with a lot of side effects. And that was the point when I realized that there's a space and a niche for the new product on the market. And we developed, actually, as one of the first products, a lash serum to make your lashes appear longer, denser, and thicker. It was actually #1 selling lash serum here in Canada on Amazon. After being for a year on Amazon, we decided actually, after many inquiries from the spas and salons, to actually concentrate on the B2B market. So right now we are exclusively supplying more than 2,000 actually beauty salons, spas, medi-spas across Canada, but we're also available in Australia, New Zealand, Jordan, Emirates, and the US. So it has been a while for the company. Since then, we branched out with other products, including conditioning makeup. But I think another breakthrough that happened for our company, other than developing Lashterm with the first triple peptide complex on the market and replacing the efficacy of the prostaglandin analogs, that it's safer to you. Another breakthrough for the company was actually starting working with the wineries. So we were developing at a given time a lip serum, a conditioning lip serum that can volumize your lips over the time, improve the vermilion, so the contour of your lips. And one of the things that we were missing, I mean, whenever you develop the products, you usually go to the raw material suppliers, you check what ingredients are available, but we realized that we are headquartered in one of the richest regions when it comes to grapes. And if you know, grapes are rich in antioxidants. And what was interesting, that time we were working actually with Loyalist College and their research center. And we decided, how about we're going to test the grape pomace that we can obtain from the Niagara wineries. So it's not just the made in Canada actually products, cosmetics, it's also made in Canada ingredients. And what was very interesting is that when we ran antioxidant assays, we discovered that our grapes are super rich in vitamin C. So the efficacy of our grapes in Niagara region in the microclimate that they grow is the same as 50% of vitamin C ascorbic acid, which was super impressive. Plus, it's super rich in resveratrol and other flavonoids, other antioxidants. And we were like, okay, that's going to work for the lip serum. So that's how we started branching out to the ingredients, and has a very, very short story. And later on, we started working on exosomes. So tiny vesicles, tiny messengers used in the skincare. I don't want to say that it's a current trend in the industry, because I do believe it's going to stay for a while. And we're the first company that actually developed the first made in Canada exosomes from the grapes growing in Niagara region. And later on, we branched it out to the Skin AI analysis software, which also bridges back to other products and ingredients, because we wanted to measure. So a lot of times, companies like us, we go to third party, but you also want to have something in-house that you can compare for before and after. Then you can utilize, of course, with the consent, all the images for the before and after. You can have those measurable results that you can prove at any point, which is super important for the beauty company as well. So we decided to develop our own Skin AI analysis software, which opened a new partnership with AI Hub at Durham College. And that even developed further, but I will leave some questions for you, because I could talk for a while. So I want to make sure that...
That's wonderful. Thank you for all that background. You're really taking us through the journey, and I do want to naturally ask you next. So you mentioned the role of, so you're one of the co-founders. You've taken us through some of the journey, right? Why it made sense for you personally, some of the early products. We've jumped ahead into hinting at the AI skin analysis technology, which we're definitely going to spend some time talking about. But you mentioned in the co-founding, early founding journey, the role that Loyalist College played, and then AI Hub. For people listening that maybe don't know how you would work with a college or work with an AI Hub, talk to us a little bit about what role they play and why you would partner with them, and just what those projects looked like and turned into.
So I think that one of the biggest challenges for any new company is the funding. Adorize has been bootstrapped since the beginning. We did not go to ventures. We did get those offers. However, we decided to take a little bit different path. Now, any use of laboratories, and when you are familiar, what are the prices, even to obtain access to some of the equipment available for analyzing any chemicals or developing the software, as was the case working with the AI Hub, is that this is a huge barrier for any company. So for us to have those partnerships, it was crucial to the growth of the company. Every company looks for UVP, unique value proposition, right? And for us, it was that we have an access to the possible ingredients. We established the partnership with the college, then we established the partnership with the AI Hub. And I think what is important is that a lot of time we try to look different directions as companies on how to support the growth of the company. And I think one of the things that, based on my experience at my previous career, because I came from IT, from the tech, was that I had a chance previously to work with trade commissioners, which are super supportive, especially when you export the products. But that experience I actually used while establishing Adorais to grow it. Because once you have those connections, once you can utilize those, I think that a lot of companies do not realize how much support our government can give to us. Now, a lot of those fundings are either the loans or funding itself that is provided to the college. So it's not like you as a company, there is a contribution that you have to do it. But I think what is important is to connect first. So any business can go to business grant finder that is available at the Canadian government website. They can narrow down all possible programs, but every company can also reach out to, for example, the region development people that are in charge to supporting the companies. Now, the Loyalist College introduction was actually a very interesting one because it started in a totally opposite way than it normally would happen, but that's why networking is super important for everyone. So the Loyalist College actually reach out to us because they were looking into enhancing the experience for as a part of the education for their students. So we actually were first connected with Bridget from Loyalist College, who's in charge of the spa management program. And we actually started working with the students, telling them about the retailing the products, how to use it at the back bar. So that was the first experience. And actually, Bridget was the first person that mentioned, hey, by the way, we have a R&D here at Loyalist College. Maybe you want to connect. And we were like, okay, let's connect. So we connected. And since then, we actually worked on multiple projects. And that includes Niagara grape extract development of the exosomes. So there was much into that relationships that it started and took off our company to another level. And I think that a lot of companies that are starting their adventure, they also do not realize that when you work with college, when they have those programs and they work with the federal or provincial programs, they can guide you into so many directions. They are the ones that are going to recommend which grant you should apply for, what type of projects you should apply for. So even reaching out to the college it can be a huge breakthrough for any company out there. And through Loyalist College, we were actually introduced to AI Hub at Durham College. So it's not like we did reach out eventually as first, but that was a recommendation through Loyalist College. And that's how I connected with Natalie Arthurs actually for the first time. And we've been working since then. So I do believe that for everyone, what is super important, you never know when one connection going to take you to another level or what it's going to enable. So it's super important.
Very, very interesting. Okay. That was great background. So, I mean, just to summarize a little bit for the people that this is new to, within the sort of innovation sector in Canada and in Ontario, one of the motivations to look at these college partnerships could be funding, as you mentioned. So even though there is a partner, so if you're the client partner, there's a financial contribution from your side, but there is also the opportunity for grants and loans to really help to subsidize the costs. From the college partner side, so for Loyalist, one of the benefits is giving their students exposure to actually work on these real world projects and get involved in what's happening. So there's that funding piece. You mentioned as well the access to labs or facilities, right? So as a small startup that's bootstrapped, right? How do you how do you staff everything? How do you have all the expertise that you need? How do you have all of the facilities that you need? So they're really being a partner on that side of things, which sounds invaluable really at that early stage.
And I think that's the most important point, the access to the expertise, that it's very valuable. And as you mentioned, the access to the lab that is usually very limited to any companies, especially starting companies.
Yeah. So it's almost, I mean, I think we should talk a little bit about your background again and your team, but it's almost like you could come with an idea and they can really help to fill it, and of course some of the cash contribution and some of your past experience, maybe some of your partnerships, but they can fill in a lot of that expertise, a lot of the facilities, and even help guide you into all kinds of directions. Is that fair? Is it that big a role?
It is correct. It is correct. I mean, we got such a great guidance from AI Hub, from Loyalist College. And this is really invaluable. And the reason why is that sometimes when we think that we know it all, after talking with someone, especially with colleges that work already with multiple companies that already finish multiple projects in different spaces, their experience is not just even expertise, it's the experience that they have, that they can guide you the right direction without you falling behind or getting derailed, which can happen, right? But at the same time, it gives you that also nice dynamics that you can progress through different stages of the projects with different types of expertise. So I think that's also super important when it comes to the guidance, because they also tell you what is possible, what it's not, or if it's impossible, but it takes longer. Right? And that's important too. So, I always think that it's important to not just learn from your own experience, but from experience and the knowledge of others, and to appreciate that. And if you have an access to it, which Canadian companies do, then why not?
Yeah, absolutely. So very cool. So we've talked a little bit, initially we talked a little bit about the cosmetic offerings. At Loyalist, we got into some of the ingredients a little bit further, right? It sounds like that was one of the areas that they really wanted to support. But then they also made the introduction to the AI Hub. And I think that is our segue into the tech side of things. So did you know, when did the idea of introducing AI into the business start to make sense? When did the conversation with AI Hub make sense? Did you already have a need or a gap that you were trying to fill, or was it just exploring what else could be possible?
I think at first, when we were looking into the AI, it was more about feeling the need, but it was more like an internal need, which kind of expanded to external demand, and that's why we progressed through the 2 stages of the project itself. But basically, 2 years ago, we started developing the new product, which is exosome-based face serum. And because we have also lash serum, we knew that there is already some of the technology that we could utilize for measuring the results from using our products. So at the very beginning, it was mostly internal kind of project that we were working on. We decided, okay, so we can do the before and after images, analyze the improvement on the skin texture, analyze the improvement on the length of the lashes. So it was mostly for the measurements on our side, and then the social proof later on that we could provide that is established within the strong foundation of the proper technology and the proper use case of it. So it came from that at the very beginning. There was a point of time when we did order some of the skin AI analysis hardware also to test it out inside, and we just realized that there's a lot of challenges when it comes to using a foreign technology. One of the things that, especially as a company, when you want to manage your own data, when you want to keep it private, especially when you do before and after images, because it's a face and there's a recognition and you have to be compliant. And yes, at the very beginning it was internal, but the moment when you want to take it external, you have to look at additional layers when it comes to projects like that, especially when it involves recognizable features where you can identify the person. So when we tested those devices, we realized that there's a lot of challenges about the data storage, about how your privacy is actually protected, but there were also limitations as per the features that we were looking for. So at the very beginning, we decided, okay, how about we just gonna do a basic skin AI analysis software, which is actually the first one here made in Canada as well. So there's a lot of firsts here with Made in Canada. Yeah. But when we decided to do it, we were looking at the parameters that were mostly about, for example, checking the hydration moisture of your skin, checking hyperpigmentation of your skin, then seeing what is your laxity of the skin, then checking the wrinkles progress on the skin as the skin ages. So it was mostly the aesthetic side. We were able to pilot the project as well with all the spa partners that we have with great results. But when we were doing that also, I actually had a pleasure to attend myself personally one of the open houses at the clinics that we work with. And when I was doing analysis on the skin, I realized that we can do much, much more. And that was like one of the shifting moments when it comes to that project, because that was the moment when I did the analysis on the person. I will not provide the description of that person to keep it, to protect the privacy of the person, but I saw lesion on the skin. Now, I'm not a doctor, I cannot diagnose, but what I can do and what the esthetician can do is to flag it and say, how about you will get the further checkup at the dermatologist? And to support the healthcare, and I think that's where the AI also can play a massive role, and it will play, that one for sure, was that we can narrow down the timelines when it comes from detecting, flagging, and then actual diagnosis by the dermatologist. Because right now, unfortunately, we are waiting pretty long times when it comes to seeing specialists, right? So that can offload the healthcare, all the heavy wait times. And that was a time when we realized, how about we're going to develop the technology that can detect the lesions, flag them, take pictures, make initial analysis without the diagnosis that can be connected to the healthcare, and basically to improve the healthcare itself and to improve in general the diagnosis, because a lot of people do not know, but here in Canada, 1 in 3 people will be diagnosed eventually with the skin cancer. So that was like a wake-up call for me. And for the rest of our team, where we realized we can do so much more. And if estheticians see hundreds of faces every single month, that's the bridge that everybody should be looking for. And we decided to take that direction. Now, we're on the very initial phases of that project because it's a different compliance, and especially in the medical field. There are questions, is a medical device due or is it not? What kind of medical device is that? Do we do diagnosis? So this is still work in progress, and we're happy to develop the second stage of that project with AI Hub that also pays a great attention when it comes to the compliance and when it comes to privacy as well. So I think it's super important, especially for such a new technology, that public is aware of, because AI itself and Python has been already for a while, but the use case, the use of AI that we do today, I think for us is, easy to jump on it, easy to do it, but there are consequences later on, and especially when it comes to healthcare, you want to always take that extra step and learn, acknowledge, and be prepared for what's going to happen as the law in Canada changes as well. So that's a little bit of our journey of how it started, but I took it a little bit farther too.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've crossed over into this really interesting, almost a discovery that that what you thought you were trying to solve for, right? That cosmetic skin analysis piece could actually shift into the healthcare space and do a really, really important, almost preventative diagnostic component, right?
Correct.
So again, you're not a doctor. The estheticians and the spas are not diagnosing, but they are looking at early preventative measures and making recommendations from that. Sounds incredibly important, especially given that staggering 1 in 3 Canadians will have skin cancer at some point, a diagnosis at some point in their life. That is really, really shocking. So there's a lot we're going to talk about there. I think you brought up a few points that from an educational perspective, I want to talk about before we talk about how this impacts your business and your focus and your mission. But you talked about some of the challenges and some of the barriers, right? So initially developing your own technology was really important for a lot of reasons, but that owning your data, that data privacy piece was really important. Maybe there were some features that you needed or you didn't need as well. But now that means, is this considered a medical device, and what level of medical device? Can you talk a little bit about that for people that this is new to?
So when it comes to any devices here in Canada, and especially in the space that we work in, I do believe that a lot of people do not realize how much tech is in the beauty space, especially when you work with professionals in the beauty industry. We deal with lasers, ultrasounds, so there's microneedling devices. So there's actually a lot of tech if you're going to look from that perspective. And when it comes to the devices, there's so many rules, and I do believe that if someone enters that space, especially if it's a first-timer, there's a lot of people that specialize in Health Canada and their regulations. So I do believe that they should utilize if they have those connections. If not, I do believe still they should contact a person like that, especially that when you switch from the cosmetic space and to medical device or a drug space, that's a huge difference when it comes to the compliance. So especially for us, so for example, when it comes to the compliance to the cosmetics, you have 10 days after the first sale to notify Health Canada that you sold the product with the information about the manufacturer, with the information about the ingredients. So that's called post-market surveillance, which is much different when it comes to any drug-related or medical device regulations. So I do believe that anybody that is trying to go to the medical devices, they should become familiar that it takes time, a certain amount of money to launch it as a medical device. And it also depends on what type of claims you do. Because here in Canada, the way how we classify as a medical device or the way how we classify as drugs is that even cosmetic can be classified as a drug if I'm going to make a certain claim. So for example, we have a lash serum that improves the appearance of your lashes as longer. Now we do have clinical studies that your lashes can grow longer, but I cannot say that this product is going to make your lashes longer, because the moment when I use growth, that's already indicating that this is a drug. So I cannot make that claim. There's no ingredient that is a drug, but I cannot make a claim. And the same applies to the devices. So depending on the claims that you make, depending how invasive the current device is, that depends how you're going to be classified. Now, when it comes to the medical devices, and especially when it comes to the AI technology, and when you want to have a certain speed to the market, it's also important, once again, what kind of claims are you going to do? Because it's not an invasive device itself. I'm not microneedling. I'm not using ablative lasers here. So it's going to be different classification. So in this case, everything depends on the claim that you're actually going to make. So we don't want to diagnose. The doctor here is for the diagnosis, which also switches the type of the device that we would classify as. So there are many aspects when it comes to classification of the medical device, and I highly recommend to work with professionals. There's actually a lot of consultants that worked at Health Canada that could advise with proper information, because the interpretation of that information can be very, very broad. And I think it's super important to remember that as well.
Interesting. So there's a lot of learning here, right? There's a lot of learning in your company's journey, kind of bumping into new spaces and finding that things have either timelines that might delay, have limitations, have risks, right? Even what your claims are, have to be very specific and very careful. You talked about some of the sources where people can rely on expertise, not just to have the kind of base level of learning, but also because of interpretation, because of legal aspects, right? So it's not just as simple as learning. It's now really, what does it mean in practice, right? And
Exactly.
how do we make this work for us and for our clients, and how could it be interpreted? Let's just jump temporarily into your past career. So what was your background, right, to get first fully into cosmetics and then really into the healthcare and medical side of things and the tech AI side of things? What was your background to get you there?
So I do believe I'm one of those individuals that study multiple faculties in different pockets. And I do believe that till today, if you would ask me who you want to be when you're going to grow up, I still wouldn't answer that question, because there are certain things that I like to do.
Yeah.
And I do believe that those skills can be transferred from one field to another field. Now, I came from tech, so I've been in tech 10 years. I was actually working on the hardware side of the tech, but as well on the software. That was like the beginnings when everybody was doing websites. And I was one of those people. Eventually, I progressed, and last position that I hold was a director channel development at a hardware, actually Canadian company called Lava Computers. And I was actually building major mobile systems. So I was integrating the adapters to the tablets, to the mobile devices, so you could connect multiple peripherals and create one system from it. So I do have a little bit already expertise when it comes to building those systems. So for us, because it's not just the aspect of the skin AI analysis software, you also need a hardware, because you need a certain lighting, positioning of the face to reproduce, to be the efficacy wise to have the same results. So I did have an experience already in building systems. So I do believe that part of the skills, and even when we started working with AI Hub, I said, I can take the side of the hardware. That's not a problem, but I need some expertise on the software side, especially for someone that switched 7 years ago to the beauty industry, and it's a totally different world. And at the same time, the technology goes so fast, changes so fast, that the knowledge that I had from 7 years ago wasn't anymore as applicable as today, because technology improves so fast. So finding the partner, bridging all of that was important, and realizing where are your weak points as well. So I knew it that software is not my strong positioning here. I knew it that the hardware, I can do it all, but not the software side, right? So that was super important for us. But for me, it's also a little bit sentimental, because after 7 years in the beauty industry, sitting mostly in chemicals, once again, taking education paths, starting new paths, to become a cosmetic scientist. So once again, major switch. I do believe if you're gonna look at it, and the reason why I always stick mostly to actually the product development side is that if you enjoy the research part, chemicals, technology, that's a transferable skill that you can actually combine across all of the careers. And if you're good at it, I'm not saying I'm excellent. That's why I'm always saying that you need expertise sometimes, like Health Canada consultants. I think that you can bridge it at all. And when you're going to look from the perspective of skills, you can bridge it all the industries within the field. If you're going to look at the career-wise, once again, if you would ask me who I want to be when I'm going to grow up, that would be hard because I finished multiple university faculties. So that's a little bit of the story.
That's wonderful. So a diverse background, highlighting transferable skills all along the way. Certainly still had that tech and hardware piece. So, how you bridged into the cosmetic scientist side of things, is a little bit, maybe a little bit of a jump, a little bit of an unclear path, but then getting yourself back onto the tech side might be your comfort zone, might make sense for you. Also really interesting for your business.
It is definitely a comfort zone. I do like changes, and I do believe you have to have that mindset, especially when you run company, because you have to be much more flexible. You have to adapt to the very fast changes. Is it a beauty industry? Is it compliance? Is it a tech? In all of the cases, you have to be more flexible than a lot of people think. There's a lot of ups and downs in all of the cases. No matter what career you're going to pick, there are always some sort of roadblocks, setbacks, and there's always that challenging part that, why not? Why I cannot do it? I can if I'm going to put my mind. Now, managing time is a little bit more challenging, especially when you split between running company, but I'm pretty privileged because we have a pretty good team here at the Doris. Then working on the product development, developing the ingredients and the technology is definitely a lot, but that's where actually working with colleges and all the programs and filling in those packets of the missing skills, expertise, experience creates a great environment for the growth and connecting all of those thoughts together.
Amazing. It's a very, very cool Canadian innovation story as well, right?
Thank you.
And you did highlight how quickly the technology is changing. I think for everybody listening, regardless of their educational background, their current skill level, we're seeing things like generative AI evolve faster than we can keep track of. So maybe that's a good next question is how is generative AI changing the conversation in, let's say, in healthcare in general, but specifically in your company, in your business, in your sector as well, right? Looking at your competitors, how is it changing it compared to some of that older technology, right? Even going back 7 years now, that's older technology. Wild.
It is. It is when you're going to look at from that perspective, and it's also interesting to see how fast all the industries adapt to the new technology. Yeah. So even from the perspective from the aesthetics, like we can see that the spas, salons, they use agentic AI. So all the auto responses, the booking of the services being taken care of by AI chatbots, generative when it comes to images, which is also tricky because especially in the world that we prefer the transparency, especially from the beauty brands, that not only have an effect on Generation Z, Millennials, X, and Boomers, but also on Generation Alpha, like my daughter. And when we were talking about the social media and setting up the wrong image, now we have AI, which takes it even farther. And we can see across the generation that there is still this fast adapting technology, but not as fast adapting understanding of the technology. So it's also a lot when it comes to responsibility as a company, as a mother, to make sure that we take that ethical path as a company and as a person.
Absolutely. That responsibility piece is huge. And I'm going to ask you a little bit about it because I know that your company really does take it very seriously. But before I jump in there, you talked about, so I want to understand what leadership mindset is required to successfully adopt AI in healthcare, right? Given everything, we talked about how quickly things are moving, but we also talked about the regulation. We talked about being compliant, the laws that exist today, but also the laws that are coming, because in some cases we really aren't as current as we need to be. So what is that mindset, or what's required to successfully adopt AI in healthcare with all of the opportunity but all of the challenge?
As trivial as it might sound at the very beginning without further explanation, I think you have to be ready for the long game. Because unfortunately, there's a lot of companies, there's a lot of leaders that are looking at a quick gain, and that quick gain can do a lot of harm. And we saw that across multiple industry, including beauty industry, where some companies would spike their products, wouldn't declare the ingredients, and, for example, would provide on steroids effects when it comes to the appearance, but would carry certain side effects. So for me, I always say that the company's culture reflects the management or the founders. So the ethics of management or the founders will reflect upon the directions that the company will take. And if they're not ethical, if they're not focused at the right direction, then we are here for the quick game. And the door is always for the quick game. We're here for the long game. We take that responsibility. We test our cosmetics for any possible test out there, even for the allergens, by the name of the allergens in our cosmetics. We take that transparency as a core value, as a company, as a core value to the management and every single person that works here. And as trivial as I said, it might sound, but we're here for the long run, and it comes within that person. We saw it happening across the industries with that quick gains, but once again, I think it's about ethics mostly.
Yeah, great answer. It definitely doesn't sound trivial, and really, really important. I think you've answered this to some degree, but I want to ask it just broadly, because I think that it is something people listening to may face and may struggle with. How do you balance innovation speed with consumer trust or patient trust?
It comes with time. It comes with the proof. It comes with the transparency. It comes with unbiased results that you can prove. You can explain how it works. And I think those are the core. But I do believe that as a company, the time is required as well. So since we've been for 7 years on the market, we established certain reputation and certain standards. So it's much easier to trust the clinics that we work with right now than it was 7 years ago. Because our partners are used to this certain standards, certain transparency, results, efficacy, and especially when you sell at places that are B2B, that are heavily oriented at retention, they always gonna look at how a consumer reacts on the products. Are they getting back? And because of that, and because of the partnerships also that we've built, because of working with AI Hub at Durham College, and that's another benefit to working with the colleges, that they give you certain creditability when it comes to the, especially technology, because of the authority that they have in that field. So that's also important, that you have that like a, safeguard here, that they will say, okay, this is going to work, this not, this is the privacy, this is non-transparent, that's not what we should do. So that partnership, not just on the outside, gives you that brand image, but it also gives you from the inside the guidance that it's proper, ethically based guidance.
Yes. Very, very cool. I mean, really, you've sort of given people a formula for how to build that credibility with, you emphasize time, and it does need time, but also looking at those really valued partners that have credibility, but also can help to guide you, being very clear about transparency, being very ethically focused, really looking at measuring, testing, going to the furthest degree that you can to prove that what you're doing is safe, is reliable, is is trustworthy, because that's what our question was about, right?
Which also connects with the dynamic, right? Because I did, answer the first part of the question, but I didn't answer the second part, dynamic. When you need to offset the skills very quickly, those colleges give you that option. Because at one point, on that instant moment, you have an access to all the skills, expertise, and the equipment that they have as well. So that's where the dynamics, that's where the speed comes from. But I do believe that still, just because we have established already brand, it helps a lot, to connect with those colleges, to connect with all the possible programs. It's not like we jump it first, said one day without any background, I want to do skin AI analysis software. It was a process, and it was mostly about taking that momentum, combining it with the background experience, the established reputation of the brand, with the connecting speed of the expertise from AI Hub in this case. So it's also about the right time and moment to do it as well.
Yes, absolutely. Great answer. Okay, so is any of the work that you're doing patentable?
So we are working on a patent on specific features. I don't want to share too much because it's a patent, and the moment when I spill things, I cannot do it. So it is a work in progress, that's true, but I don't want to share too much and that's another guidance for the companies. When it comes to patents, you cannot make public claims because once it's out there, it's really hard to prove the patent as well.
Okay. So there's a lot of work here. There's a lot of Canadiana in here. There's a lot that is unique and competitive and special, and again, really focused on safety around the data, on responsible and ethical practices that your company is putting at the forefront. And yes, you are able to protect and apply for patents for this, even working with partners that have contributed to it, it sounds like. That's all fair to say?
Yeah. It is.
So before we wrap our conversation, I have a few more questions, but quite early in our conversation, you mentioned that every company needs a UVP, right? A unique value proposition.
Correct.
You've also talked about your journey, and I won't put the words into your mouth to say your mission has changed, but you've gone through a journey, and what you do and what you offer has evolved and changed, even if the very early roots are still there. What is Adorai's UVP and mission today?
I think for Adorai's, the unique value proposition, the UVP as a company is offering, now I do not like the word innovation, which is very interesting, because that innovation at the end of the day, a lot of time is repurposing what is existing and creating something new from it. And if that's the definition that your listeners are following with, so I guess we are, based on the innovation. But I think for us as a core mission as a company is to remain transparent, to keep our promises as we've done for the past 7 years, and to bridge actually the beauty industry with the healthcare industry, to provide measurable results that we all expect from any product that we use, to actually support Canadian economy in every way. Because as you can tell, our cosmetics are made in Canada. Our ingredients are made in Canada. Our technology is made in Canada. And I think that commitment that we follow and establishing a certain reputation for Canadian innovation and putting us out there into the world, because we're not only available here in Canada, is also one of my personal goals. To show that innovation to what we have and appreciate what we have. Because I think a lot of time, especially in the beauty industry, there's a focus on different countries. For example, Korean beauty is very popular right now. But I think what's unique also to Canada itself is that we have those ethics about us. We're very transparent. We are great country as people that follow their rules with the transparency, ethics that can be pushed into the innovation. And I don't think that this is like a, some would say that, oh, sometimes you have to be ruthless to go and innovate, to interrupt, right? I remember the buzzword disruption in the tech industry, which was pretty big at the beginning of 2010. And I think that when it comes especially to the healthcare side, the disruption is not the word to go with. Is about bringing that responsibility and merging that innovation and appreciating what we have here. The grape pomace, who knew? 50% efficacy of vitamin C, right? So I think sometimes we have to look back in what we have, appreciate that, and through the transparency, responsibility, measurable results, we can innovate farther. But a lot of tools are available at our hands. It's just a matter of reaching out for them. So that's what Adorize is, the innovation, the science-backed claims was always a core, and we're going to keep up with that promise. And I do believe that when it comes to Canada, we have a lot of potential, and that's the direction that we want to go with.
Beautifully put. So our last two questions, I want to generally talk about the future of AI. What worries you the most if we get it wrong?
Once again, sorry?
Yeah, so looking at the future of AI, right? AI has so much potential. We'll talk about that. I don't want to talk about that right now. What if we get it wrong? What if we go too far with AI? What if we use it the wrong way? What if we get it wrong? Do you see that as a possibility?
It's always a possibility, right? What if we're gonna get it wrong? But I do believe that we have certain laws for it that we will follow, as Canada gonna pass a new bill as well, that will put certain safeguards on every side, especially when it comes to very sensitive fields such as healthcare. Now, those I do believe that there's always a hiccup somewhere that can be overcome. But definitely that part of the industry that it's heavier regulated, I don't think that they're going to be as susceptible when it comes to what if it's going to go wrong. There is another question that can be asked here, and it's mostly a question: what about the AI within the industries that are not heavy regulated? Because that becomes a playground for different actors, and that can be much, much more tricky. So even I believe, I'm not sure if it was Denmark or Netherlands, but they basically introduced an option to copyright your face with the growing AI right now, right? And how your face can be used with AI. So I do believe that things can go wrong. I'm not necessarily thinking it can go wrong in the healthcare side. And the reason why, because once again, we have laws, we have safeguards, we have still privacy laws that are applicable, and other laws such as medical devices. And I don't think it's going to go straight, replacing the doctor through AI agent. I think it's going to be through the stages. So like in our case, it's keeping the human in the loop. So once again, you have dermatologists that it's going to be part of that process. And definitely at one point, I do believe MRI images can be analyzed by AI. And I believe that was a Harvard study. It can be done much better than using human in that case. But once again, it can go wrong definitely in different fields. And I think that the accessibility of AI can also go wrong in some ways. But that's why I believe that when it comes to the AI, it's super important to have open source, because that gives an access to everyone, not just a certain country that would have a certain competitive advantage across other countries. But it gives an access to many people around the world, so we can all progress as well. So there's never with that an answer yes or no. There's so many factors in it as well. So
yeah, that was a really, really balanced answer. Very interesting, reassuring within the healthcare space, but realistic about risks outside of those more heavily regulated fields. The last question I want to ask, and I think our conversation has been full of this to some degree, but I want to end on this note and ask what gives you the most hope about AI's role in healthcare in the future.
I think when it comes to AI in healthcare, and that's going to be a very general answer, which kind of connects to what we do today, is that we can heavily improve our healthcare. And I mean, we are a very privileged country because we have universal healthcare, and but there's always a place for improvement, and that's where I think is AI space. And I can see so many options when it comes to the triage and using AI, where we can speed up the timelines at ER, then detecting lesions, cancerous lesions like we're trying to do. So basically narrow down those wait times, getting faster diagnosis, better healthcare output in that case. It can be also, if done properly, a great connection to bridge indigenous community that have different data privacy regulations as well, and we have to be aware of that. I do believe that there's so many good things that can happen within the healthcare when it comes to the accessibility. So it's not just the wait times to see the specialist, but accessibility just because I have an internet. I still believe that human in the loop at the first stage of that AI revolution should be present, especially in the healthcare. But I do believe that when it comes to analyzing the test results, even connecting the test results, for example, the blood test, other MRIs, CT scans, is to see if there's a certain connection across multiple specialists and have this one central place that can make certain recommendations that can be reviewed by the doctor. I think it's super interesting. It is, and I'm very hopeful that there's so many opportunities with AI when it comes to healthcare. And it's ours to explore and take the right direction and take into consideration all the things that we talk about, such as transparency, privacy, being ethical in what we do. And I believe that this is the revolution that healthcare has been a long time overdue, actually.
Wow. Very, very hopeful words for us to end our discussion on today. Really a very optimistic view of the future and one that makes it feel like it's all worth it. So I want to thank you for the insightful conversation today, for your time, and also for everybody listening. This has been another episode of the AI Revolution podcast and learning series with our special focus on AI in healthcare. I've been your host today, Carrie Purcell, thanking our guest, Natalia Haluszka.
Thank you so much, Carrie. Thank you.
Thank you.